Hello, I'm Famcha. I'm a VTuber who really enjoys Cardfight Vanguard, and I've 100% it Dear Days 1, and I'm here to share with you what I think the top 15 decks in Dear Days 2 will be, with at least 2 decks for each nation. I will also have deck log for all the decks I talk about in the description. That said, let's get started with the strongest nation, Dragon Empire. Shoshidoji is probably the strongest deck on release. Shoshidoji's strength is the ability to do multiple attacks on the first grade 3 turn, and being able to get rid of key pieces both in the field and in the hand. Learning to attack with Shoshidoji is its biggest learning curve. Once you understand how to boost Sukudachi multiple times to get multiple attacks off, then you are good. Sometimes with a poor defensive trigger, it can shut off your early game attacks, but as long as you attack in the right order, you should be fine. Shiranui is the strongest stride deck in the game, and the second strongest next to Shoshidoji. Some even might say it's stronger than Shoshidoji as well. Board with Shinri is a really good early game, and with the multi-tackers with the crest power scaling, makes this deck very scary. The only counter is an empty board for your opponent, or a well-timed Angel Bracing Ladder. If those are common in the meta, I would recommend running some copies of Verena Esper Ideal, since that is another good multi-tacker where you don't need to dominate your opponent's units. Varga is another strong deck. I don't believe it's stronger than the first 2 decks on the list, but it's still a really good fun beginner deck to learn. Being a Vanguard focused restanding deck, and learning to time your divine skill to get maximum value. Also, we have Inner Rush, which is a strong card that allows for more draws. Let's move on to Keter. Luarda is another really good stride deck set. In set 3, it got access to the Undercover package. Undercover Dara lets you deck thin and compress your deck to live into the late game. You could also run the Hostage package, which is the set order, him Burning with Mercy, which allows you to use your rear guards to guard during your opponent's turn. Luarda can call perfect guard from the deck, and you can use those as another big defensive option. Overall, a strong late game deck with good scaling, being a really strong stride deck. Raziel is a deck that allows you to recall units from the drop every turn, allowing you to reuse Saragon and Nerbrus for infinite draws basically. It also runs Wisdom of the Beginning and Tefahalt, with Saragon for even more draws. Then once you draw most of your deck, you can use your Divine skill to put all your crits back into your deck, while gaining a drive to either finish off your opponent or live another turn. Overall, one of the best decks to use the Broken Keter pile. Time to change things up with Dark States. Carnage is one of my favorite stride decks. Now having a good early game with Ford, Clockwise, and Folklore allows you to draw and soul charge, and then use cards like Upstream and Freight Rider to get multi-attacks, while drawing even more cards with GG. Makes this deck very strong once it starts going. Blangmire is another strong deck. Blangmire's ability to close out games with Divine skill is strong. We don't have Bedrock Dragon just yet, which we'll get in set 4, but even without it, it's still a strong deck and will only get stronger next set. Let's move on to Stoicheia. Leonor was one of the key decks before the Divines meta, but now we have so many crazy cards like Friendly Broccoli that does so much, and the new set 3 cards, Avlina, allowing you to ride Rosarium Fairies and have a crazy strong early game, snowballing into your Vyase turn, making it one of the strongest decks in the set 3 metagame, and even better later with the set 4 card Lagrace, which is just a better Broccoli. Zorga is probably the worst deck on this list, but is currently the second strongest Stoicheia deck. Being able to use cards like Roaming Prison Dragon and Karma to have rearguards that hit really big with multiple crits, and having a divine skill that lets you restand them on a kill turn is also pretty strong. Also, there are multiple ways to build this deck, and I'm sure if you're a great deck builder and do more testing to what you like, you can make this deck even better. Brandt Gate is probably the nation with the most amount of playable strong decks. Messiah is another stride deck set. Messiah is a neat deck that allows you to lock and unlock your own cards for advantage, like multi-attacks during the battle phase or draws during the end phase using your alter ego Messiah's GB2, turning every soul charge into a free draw and advantage, let you scale into your late game. The deck now also includes the dual nation card Velosa, which allows you to put key normal units back into your deck and search for key pieces and dig deeper for your Messiah cards. Ava is Compression the deck. It has many ways to deck thin and play a good consistent game. Immiger really brings a new life into this deck. It's a custom card for Ava. Your Rhyline lets you add Torrential Energy Research, which is normally an archetype order, but allows you to check top 5 for Immiger while deck thinning early and adding PGs to hand as well. Obfuscate also hits really big with 2 crit, and are also reusable shield values that you can get back later as well. Prison's a nice deck that basically overwhelms your opponent by taking away all those key pieces they need and imprisoning them away. Muna is basically free draws every turn if they want to get their cards back, and Citrus, their newest card, allows them to have 4 attacks in their big Pure Light turns, ripping cards from everywhere like the hand, soul, field, a very strong control deck if played by a good player. They is another very solid Brandt Gate deck, basically setting bases to deck thin out your Dimensional Robo pieces from your deck and allowing you to deck thin while also having to call those units basically out for free. Also being able to use cards like the Blitz Order Freezing Wave for 30 to 40k shield, even more comparison with the dual nation card Surga, and also Baldrade, another good card for compression and finding those persona rides and other key cards makes Aisha a very strong deck in this meta. Now finally, for my favorite nation, Lyrical Monasterio. Kairi is the strongest lyrical deck, basically having 2 strong rearguards in both Palanup, a Restander, and Hule, a card that lets you bounce key pieces back into your hand for following turns while drawing a card and filling your soul for Palanup. This deck basically allows you to run the strong lyrical generics like Yuika, Prika, Walchebrig, and the newly added Volfair. Also, with the promo Yasmin, makes Kairi a really strong going second deck. Michu is also a strong deck, getting direct support in the last set available in the base game, Divine's Lyrical Booster. Michu plays very similar to Ava, where you're playing set orders and have a card like Imager. Frika allows you to ride into the new Michu, getting you a lot of advantage like power and multiple drive checks in one turn, making another very strong deck in the metagame, even if I think Kairi is slightly better. Some other decks to look out for are Gramgrace Sieg, Favner Renegold, and Robo Dragon. Both the new Gramgates and Favner will both be out in the Set 3 Lyrical Divines meta, a whole 3 sets before they were out in the real game. They did very little by the time of the Set 6 metagame, but it's most likely due to how strong the Set 5 metagame was. I haven't tested these decks out a lot to be honest, but I think it's definitely a thing to look out for. Robo Dragon's a whole new card exclusive to Dear Days 2. It's very generic, and we don't know if we're getting any of the cards alongside of it, but it seems like to be a better Dayusha. Time will tell since we have no results to go on at the moment. We also don't know what promos will be included as well, so that might change this list a little. If you want to see any changes in how the metagame goes, make sure to subscribe so you can see me play this game live. I stream both here on YouTube and Twitch as well. Thank you again for making it so far into this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!